listening to pause. We pause for a second or two. This is episode 175. Personal outlook on authority. We live in times right now when there is a lot of conflict going on. Practically wherever we look, very close, there is some kind of conflict going on. Conflict over land, conflict over resources, conflict over position, conflict over claims, conflict over being in the right. And in all this conflict, there are countless upon countless of sudden, acute situations going on. People shocking each other, people ambushing one another, people scaring one another. A lot of sudden, acute situations all around. Wherever there is conflict, sudden, scary stuff happen in all directions. And no matter who we are, as we find ourselves in the midst of or in close proximity with conflict, what we all seek, what we all want, or at least what we all want a good judgment of, is authority. It's a useful term, a useful word to sort of encapsulate what we think we need in the midst of conflict. Today's episode is called Personal Outlook on Authority. And the Polaroid, the emotional skill for today's episode, is ACUTE goal authority. So today we're talking about one of our 5 goals. The goal for our specific situation, acute situation. For all those times when we find ourselves in a acute, sudden, potentially violent situation. And our goal is what we may choose to call authority, or at least to be a good judge of authority, to make a good call in the midst of a acute situation. Personal outlook. So basically at the heart of this is the assumption or the fact depending on how we wish to see it, that authority is not one thing. Authority is not one static, timeless thing. Authority is complex. Authority is changing. Authority is nuanced. And as we're talking about today, authority is personal. Our outlook on what authority is and is not is personal. It differs from person to person and from moment to moment in one and the same person. Authority is not easy to pinpoint. It is very much alive. It's as alive as you and me. So let's visualize a few things. Let's say that you and I are standing next to one another. We are talking or something like that. And then a third person arrives. And we're sort of standing, you and me, we're standing sort of in a narrow pathway. And this person approaching us is coming quite fast. Is walking quite fast to sort of try to pass us. But the person cannot pass if we do not move. If you and I do not move, the person will not have enough space to cross. And in that split second, I might move. I see this third person, and instinctively I judge this person to be a person of relative authority in this moment. So I move out of the way quite suddenly. It's quite an acute situation. I move out of the way. But you, looking at the same person, at the exact same moment, you don't really get that reaction. You don't really see this third person as a person of relative authority compared to us, or at least compared to you. So you simply do not move. You just stand where you're standing. And then the third person will have to stop. They cannot pass because you're standing in the way. And then you will have some sort of social situation, some sort of acute situation. In this image that we now have painted, it's quite an everyday situation. It happens all the time. And in that situation, we have something. We do not know this third person, but something in me made me view this third person as an authority. And something in you made you view your outlook on this person as not a relative authority as compared to you. So you didn't move. So authority, our outlook on authority, in every acute situation, is personal. You and I, we were standing there talking. We were in some kind of shared space, you and I. And we had some common thing going on there. But all of a sudden, a third person comes approaching quickly. And our different outlook on authority, yours and mine, made us react very differently from one another. I stepped aside and you stood your ground. I moved and you did not. Then we may let our image keep running, keep rolling, and see what happens next. So I stepped aside, you did not. And now this person is stopped. It had to stop because you did not stand aside. Now you and this third person are sort of standing close to each other. And you have some sort of social interaction now going on. So the person look you in the eye and gestures with their hand quite dismissively and with a sharp look in their eye, and they say something faint like move. Now with this gesture, with their look in their eye combined with their gesture and saying move in the way they said it, now you change your outlook on this person. Now you move. So first, when you saw this person, you did not view them as a person of authority, so you did not move. But in the sort of second image, the further image, the person looked you straight in the eye, waved dismissively, and said move, told you to move. And now you move. So in this second sort of part of the situation, you change your mind. You change your mind that this person was now, or is now, a person of relative authority. You make the decision to step aside, to give up your ground. In this situation, in this moment, you changed your mind. And the third person walks past us and leaves. And that was that. And this is a deceivingly simple image, because it is so general. It is happening so often, situations like this one. Very seemingly impersonal situations of negotiations. Who stands and who steps aside? Who stays and who goes? Who is telling who to move aside? And who is obeying who? This is constant. This is part of every conflict right now. And our outlook on authority is just constantly changing. We are revising it moment by moment. Acute goal authority is not so much about becoming powerful. It's not about becoming strong in that sense. We can do that too, but that's not what is most important. What is most important when it comes to acute goal authority is to develop a sense, develop a skill out of making these judgment calls, because it's a very complex thing how authority comes and goes, changes. Sometimes a person can feel like both an authority and not. It is very nuanced. And acute goal authority is about developing such a sensibility, such a skill. It comes in handy very often. Basically all the time, especially in these times. And also, all of us have identities. We have pretensions about who we are. I think I am like this, but not like that. And we think in definite terms. We think, in this kind of situation, I am always like this. And in that kind of situation, I am always like that. That is how we think, usually. But authority is much more contextual than that. We change our minds all the time. We revise and change constantly. And very often do we rationalize and tell ourselves something to keep our pretension or identity intact. And acute goal authority is also this: to be humble that we are not really willing to alter our identity or pretensions too much. It is not very pleasant to do so. And the people we live with, our families, our co-workers, they are the same. they also do not like to alter their identities or pretensions too much. Not too much in a short period of time at least. Have to go slow with these things. When it comes to identity, it can take quite a while. It can take a long while. These are quite mystical things, how this works, and it is quite mystical how it can be hard to put our finger on why we view someone as an authority. Sometimes everything apparent points to the opposite, that we should not view them as an authority, but still we do. So it can be quite mystical. Mystical and interesting, if we want to. Interesting. That's it for today. Thank you.